ABC News.
News Talk 610 AM and 102.1 FM. KBNU.
KBNU News Time is 4:05. I'm Bill Walter with this news update brought to you by Whole Tree Care. Last week, several family members and friends gathered at the home of Dave and Brittany Milligan in Millville to sort, organize, and pack over 24 suitcases full of body armor, tactical vests, helmets, first aid kits, and more bound for Ukraine. Dave's sister, Jeannie Wardle, served a mission for the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints in Donetsk, Ukraine, over 20 years ago. Now the Las Vegas resident is on another mission to save lives in the war-torn country.
We're taking tons of body armor. We worked with Clean Foundation, and they gave us tons of medical supplies. And then we just had friends, family, strangers donate a ton of stuff to us to take all over Vegas and Cache Valley. People have given us suitcases. They've given us cash donations. They've given us items that we need. We're just going to show up and do whatever they need us to do.
Jason Stout teamed with Responsibility Foundation to help Ukrainians. The nonprofit group based in Utah County has shipped donations to Poland and Ukraine while also arranging drivers to transport people and supplies.
We at least feel a little bit better knowing that we can do something to help the effort, because the thing that'll save Ukrainians most is by keeping the Russian soldiers out of their cities, because once the Russian soldiers get in, that's when all the atrocities happen. I feel like the best way we can save people is by equipping soldiers who are protecting them.
Dave Milligan said after they deliver their suitcases full of protective gear, they will stay near the Polish border and help gather whatever supplies may be needed to assist refugees.
We might be running to the border, picking people up, taking people back to the Ukraine. We're just really going to kind of play it by ear and help where we're needed.
Stout said donations are still needed because the war is still going on. Stout said those interested in helping out can donate at responsibilityfoundation.org. KBNU News Time is 4:07. KBNU weather for tonight, partly cloudy this evening. There is a slight chance of a rain shower this evening, then mostly cloudy after midnight. Low around 60. Southwest winds continuing 10 to 20 miles an hour early this evening. Partly cloudy, around 90 degrees tomorrow. Slight chance of a shower Thursday, and maybe a few degrees cooler, around upper 80s for the high. But it's been plenty hot today. 94 has been our high. Right now it's backed off a little bit, 87 at KBNU. KBNU weather brought to you by Northern Steel Building. Steel is stronger, more flexible, more dependable than wood, masonry, and concrete. Plus, steel is often less expensive. See their work online at northernsteelbuilding.com.
My guy is so amazing. He sits on the couch and plays video games. And sometimes he smashes 4 slices of bread into a big ball and stuffs it into his mouth. Other guys mow their lawn or power wash the patio. Not Dan. He likes to cuddle in front of the TV and watch pro wrestling.
Men, rest assured you'll never meet a woman like this. But kudos to you. You called Whole Tree Care to help shape your shrubs and trim your overgrown trees. Call 760-6587 and ask for the radio discount. 760-6587.
KBNU News Time is 4:08. A moose was safely relocated by conservation officers and biologists after he wandered into a North Salt Lake neighborhood. According to Utah Division of Wildlife Resources, they tranquilized the moose in order to safely transport it away from the area. In an additional video released by Utah DWR, the clip shows the moose safely being let out of a trailer to the East Canyon area. Officials thanked conservation officers and biologists for safely moving the moose by saying, "Thank you for your hard work keeping the public and Utah's wildlife safe." And the Left Fork fire burning in the Dixie National Forest was now reported to be 40% contained and remained at 4,254 acres as of last night. The fire, which was first reported on June 18th, has been determined as human-caused. Fire officials said difficult terrain and extreme weather conditions continue to hamper firefighting efforts. KBNU News Time is 4:09. For more details on these and other stories, visit CacheValleyDaily.com.
For the People, weekday afternoons from 4 till 6 on News Talk KVNU, 610 AM and 102.1 FM.
This radio station is proud to provide a patriotic soundtrack to this year's fireworks shows. From Logan's Willow Park, July 2nd. From your own backyard celebrations, July 3rd. And Lewiston and Hiram on July 4th. Each evening at 10, tune into this radio station for patriotic music and messages as we celebrate the United States of America. Special thanks to these businesses for sponsoring this year's soundtrack. Schreiber Foods, celebrating 50 years of providing job security and financial stability for Cache Valley families. DD Auto and Salvage, get paid top dollar for your junker autos and scrap metal. Cook and Solder Foot and Ankle. Foot injury? Doctors Greg Cook and Travis Sauter can help. Call 752-9011. McDonald's Inbox Elder and Cache County are hiring. Start your future at McDonald's. Let us join together to salute the red, white, and blue and cheer the hopes and dreams that is America. Tune in to this radio station July 2nd, 3rd, and 4th at 10 p.m.
Do you have a nasty weed problem? We have the right person for you. Sir, you work for Logan Extermination, don't you? Can you help these folks get rid of pesky dandelions?
Of course I can help. I am the Terminator. I will terminate those little yellow devils in your yard. Call me at Logan Extermination, 752-8450.
Terminate your weeds and green up your lawn for only $45, based on maximum 5,000 square feet. A building is just a building until it's your building. It's where you work, where you create, where you store your valuable equipment. You take pride in your building, so make sure it's built right and built to last. Northern Steel Buildings will guide you from concept to construction. For your commercial, agricultural, or industrial steel building, visit northernsteelbuilding.com to see their quality work or call 435-677-7300. Northern Steel Buildings. Value from concept to construction.
For the People.
We are waiting with bated breath for news from the Cache Republican Party meeting an executive committee tonight
With Jason Williams.
and I'm really excited about this next segment. We have two guests here in studio. We're going to talk about something that we've talked about many times here on the show, but from a bit of a different angle.
Weekday afternoons from 4 till 6 on News Talk KVNU, 610 AM and 102 FM.
Welcome to KVNU's For the People. Tuesday, June 28th. I'm Jason Williams. Bill Walter here in the studio as well. Thank you for joining us. An update on wildfires here in Utah. A couple popping up over the weekend and into this week. One burning near Bryce National Canyon. Only 40% contained at this point. With a lot of smoke in the air, and it's, well, so far not headed our way, but fingers crossed on that. There's also the Left Fork fire in Dixie National Forest. It's dry out there, to say the least. It is the fire, for example, Left Fork fire, it was first reported June 18th. In the afternoon, and determined very quickly that it was just outside of Bryce National Canyon, a concern, but also human-caused, and it's been difficult for firefighters to fight due to, if you've seen the area there in and around Bryce National Canyon, where the Left Fork fire is burning, it's pretty rough and rocky. Not easy to drive right into certain places. They've also been hampered by some extreme weather conditions, news reports are telling us. And it's currently at about 4,200 acres, or 4,254 exactly, as of the last report from Utah wildfire officials. So it is wildfire season. One thing that was interesting about this, they're using something. Now, they've used these before, but this is the first time they've been used in an official concentrated effort to fight a fire, especially one this large. But they're actually using the newish. They've had them for a couple of years now. Utah Department of Public Safety drone crews, and the crews consist of course, drones, and then expert flyers, people who are skilled enough at maneuvering these drones so they can do so safely, even in smoky conditions where there's no visibility. Obviously, a drone isn't able to do as much to combat a wildfire as an actual flyover by an airplane full of retardant or water. So it's a slower effort, but they are using these drones to put out hot spots in areas where the fire has already burned through. So far, no injuries or damages have been reported, at least, through the duration of this. But there is a small town that was evacuated June 21st. They are now back in their homes as the fire has burned through the area and on to other places. But yeah, it's just a good reminder that it is, we are in wildfire season. It is pretty dry out there. There's also a significantly large fire outside of Boise. This is one that I hadn't heard of until today, but it's they haven't named this one yet. It's that new FA3BOD is how the fire officials here in Utah and southeastern Idaho are referring to it. So it doesn't actually have a name yet. We'll see if that one goes through. But
is it kind of like hurricanes or something, that when they're tropical depressions, they're just a
numbers
code or something, or a number? But
I think what it is, I don't really know who names the fire. I always assumed it was fire crews that did the naming. Maybe it's the media. I don't know. I know we've never had I shouldn't say opportunity to name a wildfire, but
nobody's called us to ask us what we should name a fire.
We've never been asked to name a fire,
or made it into a contest or something.
That's right. The one outside of Boise just popped up last night, and it's burning about it's burned about 10 acres is all, and that one I understand they're kind of just keeping an eye on it. There is something on the Utah Wildfire Information site being referred to as the Blue Spruce Fire, and that is in our area, but I've heard nothing about this. I don't know, the exact location. It's not here in Cache Valley. It's north of. It looks to be around the, maybe just a bit south of Malad, right on the border there. Something called the Blue Spruce Fire. And that is new as well, so I'm assuming that's a smallish fire that will pop up and disappear. Outside of Salt Lake City, there is a fire they're calling the Lost Lake Fire. This is way up in the hills in one of the cottonwoods there, and also a human-caused fire. That was first reported this afternoon at about 2:30 this afternoon. So
season is amping up,
yeah,
unfortunately.
Yeah, so that's yeah. And, of course, the largest fire here in Utah is that Left Fork fire outside of Bryce National Canyon. There is also one on the Utah-Wyoming or Utah-Colorado border called the Harper's Fire. But no details on that one yet. That one's actually been burning since the 19th. And then a pretty big one out on the Utah-Nevada border, the Go Shoot Fire. And it's burning about 1,200 acres a day, and has been since the 24th.
1,200 new acres a day are going up in that? Or?
That's what it says.
Wow.
That seems like a big fire. But that one is being called the Go Shoot Fire. It's way out there, middle of nowhere, Nevada, on the closer to the Utah border than the center of Nevada. And it is the Go Shoot Fire. So that one does actually look like it might be something you'd be able to see on your way out to Wendover, maybe. I don't know. Looks a bit south of that freeway stretch from Salt Lake to Wendover. So, yeah, there's your wildfire update. They are burning. It is dry. If you scroll back out on the Utah Fire Information Services map and look at some of the other areas of the state, we're actually, wildfire-wise, faring pretty well right now. There is a lot going on in New Mexico and Arizona. California is just plastered with these little red fire symbols, meaning there's a wildfire burning. Utah, though, currently we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and if you count the ones on the border, 6, 7 active wildfires, some small, one large at least, like that Left Fork fire. Up in Idaho, only 3 wildfires right now burning. One way up in the Panhandle, one just outside of Boise, I said, which that one looks to be a smallish, maybe field fire. Just popped up about 2:30 this afternoon. If you want to see any of this yourself, the active wildfires map is available at utahfireinfo.org. Again, just a good reminder that it is wildfire season. It's also fireworks season. Plenty of reason to be concerned, and would really like to make sure this map does not include a big fire symbol for the Cache Valley area anytime over this wildfire season. So everybody be careful out there. And, oh, wow, now they're saying that one on the Utah-Nevada border, the Go Shoot fire, they just upped that to 1,600 acres a day that it's been burning, and that's since June 24th when that was first discovered. I'm assuming that's one they're letting go. Just guessing.
Just because there's
nothing. Yeah, nothing there.
In the way.
And it's headed, the direction, at least according to their latest information, the direction it's headed is straight towards a desert. So, yeah. Anyway, check it out. utahfireinfo.gov is the website. They have an active map there. This is updated almost immediately. When a fire is reported, it's added to the map. And this is used by, planners, recreation planners, and more to evacuate and even close structures if they need to. So it's probably your freshest, fastest resource for wildfires. But check it out, utahfireinfo.gov. So far, not too bad here in Utah, but there are definite reasons to be concerned, especially as we see, even just today, these winds picking up. So fingers crossed also that this storm tonight isn't something that brings a little lightning with it. I know that's a concern always in the hills around Cache Valley and throughout Utah. So it's pretty dry out there, drying out fast. utahfireinfo.gov, again, is the website, and we'll be back right after this.
The Cache Valley Cruise-In is almost here. Come join the fun as they celebrate 40 years. Cache Valley Cruise-In. This year, they're giving away 2 cars to one lucky winner. A 93 Chevy Corvette and a 68 Ford Mustang. So come check out the show, because your ticket gives you a chance at winning both cars. In addition to classic cars and custom builds, don't miss the Top Rod of Utah, where you can browse cars worth big money. There's a poker run, sock hop, and swap meet. Enjoy great food and vendors selling all kinds of unique products. And if you don't have concert tickets, you better get them fast. This year, headline entertainment is Granger Smith, with special guest Earl Dibbles Jr. and opening act Sawyer Brown. The Cache Valley Cruise-In is Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, June 30th through July 2nd at the Cache County Fairgrounds.
Wednesday edition Clay Travis Buck Sexton Show. We'll talk the fallout of the ongoing January 6th discussions, plus primary day in many parts of the country. What did we learn based on those results? Plus, Buck.
In the aftermath of the horrific migrant tragedy at our southern border, what is the Biden administration going to do, if anything, to increase security there? We'll break down that and all the latest coming up on the Clay Travis and Buck Sexton Show.
10 to 1 on News Talk KVNU, 102 FM and 610 AM.
When times get dark, we can't see the help that's all around us. Maybe you're not sure how you'll make rent, or you lost your job. When you don't know where to turn, let 211 be your guiding light. Our guides are ready to connect you with the help you need.
211, how can I help you?
Call or visit 211.org. 211. Get connected. Get help. A message from United Way and the Ad Council.
Welcome back to KVN News for the People. A lot of Independence Day celebrations planned throughout the Valley. Hiram City, of course, having their big annual event on the square there, and a couple of events the Saturday night before the 4th. And, of course, the big parade, which is 10 a.m. again this year for people who attend the big parade out in Hiram every year. It is 10 a.m. They're doing something this year a little different that I think is going to cause a lot of confusion, but it's probably a good idea, which is there's no parking on the street the night before the parade, and no designating a spot until 5 a.m. Monday morning. So if you want to reserve a spot on the side of the road there for that famous Hiram City Parade,
set your alarm.
You don't want to set your alarm. So yeah, go
to bed early.
Yeah,
the night before.
And I have been told by residents. I haven't seen this myself or talked to the city myself about this, but residents of Hiram have told me that in previous years when they first instituted this rule, because it was just getting out of hand, people couldn't get out of their driveways because in one case it was a family from Preston had come and set up shop to block out a spot for the parade the night before, and they basically parked so much stuff there and so many chairs this person couldn't get out of their driveway. So Hiram City decided there had to be some rules. There'd never been any rules before, literally at all, other than an announced start time. And so they just said, all right, enough. No show. Some people were showing up like 2 or 3 days before and parking a vehicle on the road and just leaving it, so that they'd have somewhere to put chairs for the parade. So now the rule is you can't, anything that is set up. Residents told me that last year they were actually removing things. So if you do put something out the night before, they are going through and pulling things off just to send a message. So 5 a.m. is when you can start setting up shop there on Main Street, Hiram, for that big parade. Lewiston is having a huge event. I'm actually right now in negotiations with Lewiston City to see if we can. I started this earlier today, but their schedule and my schedule, we're just now working out the details, see if we can get them here on the show. But they have a lot of pretty fun events planned, but the one that caught my eye, the reason I want to talk to someone from the city is I want to know what led to this rule being made. But so they do this cowboy run on sometime Monday afternoon. It's part of a full day of events there in Lewiston, and there's a new rule that has been added to the cowboy run, which is that all contestants must actually be wearing cowboy boots. But I'm suspicious that it doesn't say anything else.
I can feel the blisters.
Somebody's going to be out there in cowboy boots and Daisy Dukes.
Yeah,
somebody who shouldn't be in that kind of stuff is going to be out there in that kind of stuff. But I just thought that was funny that they actually on the website for the event they felt that it was. I guess they had some rule breakers in past cowboy runs. And so it's clearly stated this time, contestants you will not be allowed to compete in the cowboy run unless you're actually wearing cowboy boots. So, but yeah, just a full day of pretty fun, a full weekend of fun-sounding events there in Lewiston. So, like I say, still working on maybe being able to get them on the show here before 6 o'clock and talk a little bit about how they've planned it. Some news on the abortion front here in Utah. There is so we had news yesterday that a judge, Judge Thomas Stone, had granted a requested injunction. They call it at the state level, but it's like a stay at the Supreme Court level. They had granted an injunction against the law passed by lawmakers, the trigger law. So basically, abortions resumed in Utah yesterday, and the judge said no less than 14 days. It could go on longer than that. This order is in effect as a lawsuit against this law trickles through the court system. And Stone himself said, look, this is obviously going upstairs, which is judge speak for this is headed to the state Supreme Court. This isn't a challenge that will ever end up at the federal Supreme Court because this is a challenge on a state law. So this will go to the state Supreme Court. Interestingly enough, with an announcement from Governor Cox today, the state Supreme Court, assuming, and it sounds like they will, but assuming the Senate, approves the appointment, Governor Cox announced an appointment to the Supreme Court today to fill a vacancy as a judge is retiring. That will mean the Supreme Court in Utah, for the first time ever in history of the state, will be a majority of women with this appointment. So, and from what I heard, from what was discussed in the press conference today, it sounds like this nominee should sail through. Apparently, very popular in the state Senate, where the nominees are reviewed and voted on, advise and consent kind of thing. And so that should be interesting to see if that affects anything when this finally makes its way up to the Supreme Court. It's at this point, what they're hoping is that they can that the injunction against the law will stay in effect long enough that a full state Supreme Court can weigh in. Right now, again, they'd be short a member, so that's the hope. So we'll see. But interestingly enough, a second law, this one got very little attention, even though it was passed in the same year. It was sponsored by Representative Cheryl Acton. I don't remember what part of the state she's from, but I believe it's the Utah County area. And she had a separate law. So the law that is headed to court and that's being referred to as the trigger law. This was the law that said basically abortion is banned in Utah except in the case of rape, incest, or life of the mother. If it's life of the mother, 2 doctors have to agree on that. If it's rape or incest, a doctor has to prove it was reported or verify it was reported to law enforcement, which that's the sticky area. That was I think for those who hope this law stands, you should be angry at the sponsor for including that, because if this law falls, it will be that. That's why the judge yesterday granted the injunction, blocked the law, because what you're basically saying is doctors could be facing a felony if they don't verify a rape has been reported. Statistically, it's believed only 25% of rapes are reported to law enforcement. And the more troubling part the judge highlighted yesterday even was that you're saying doctors could face a felony if they don't comply with a system that the state legislature never actually designs in the law. Like, for example, how does a doctor go about verifying with law enforcement that a rape occurred, which the law would mandate? So if the law falls, that will be the reason. And it's beyond me why Senator Dan McKay included that in the law when he wrote it. That could be the undoing of the law. That aside, that's Senate Bill 174, the trigger law. But there was also House Bill 136. This was a pretty simple law. It basically just says that abortion in almost all circumstances would be banned in Utah after 18 weeks. This is actually a law that didn't get a lot of attention, didn't get a lot of discussion, didn't get a lot of pushback. And that law actually goes into effect today on July 1st. That law goes into effect July 1st. It was passed during the legislative session with a July 1st start date. And after the judge's injunction yesterday, people were wondering, does this law get held up by the courts too before it can go into effect? And the answer came today, no. So House Bill 136, which bans abortion after 18 weeks, goes into effect July 1st. That's not part of this lawsuit, and the plaintiffs in the suit, the Planned Parenthood of Utah and the ACLU of Utah, both agreed that they are not suing for that law. They're not asking for the courts to review that law. So that law goes into effect July 1st without challenge. Abortion would be banned after 18 weeks in almost all scenarios. And then House Bill 174 that bans abortion overall, except in 3 instances, rape, incest, or life of the mother, with some stipulations on how those are determined or verified, which, again, that part might be the downfall of the law, because that's where the judge yesterday seemed to take the biggest issue, saying you're talking about charging doctors with a felony for not complying with a system that state lawmakers can't even answer how it will work, verifying that a rape was reported with law enforcement. So that could be problematic for House Bill 174. But House Bill 136, again, goes into effect July 1st and bans, that's this Friday, bans abortion after 18 weeks here in Utah across the board, outside of just a few very specific circumstances where they could still be performed. So just a little news on that front, as that clarification came from legislative attorneys today, that the lawsuit does not include the second law that was also passed during the session. All right, thank you for tuning in. Please stay tuned. Hopefully, again, we'll be able to talk with the planners of the Lewiston Independence Day celebration happening all throughout this weekend, because they've really knocked it out of the park. We've been working on trying to get them on since early this afternoon, and schedules have just not been lining up, but we're hoping that can still happen. Also, you may have noticed some busyness, some construction, some things afoot around the hospital. We got an update on what's going on there, a big expansion, spoiler alert, from Craig Hislop coming up as well. All of that after this look at the news with KVNU's Bill Walter.
Thank you, Jason. KVNU News Time is 4:35. The news is brought to you by Mount Logan Laundry. A Utah Amber Alert that was issued before 2:30 Monday afternoon was canceled, according to the Salt Lake City Police Department. The alert was originally issued after an 11-year-old girl went missing from Salt Lake. Authorities began searching for the child's biological mother, who police said did not have custody of the girl. Officials said the suspect had been known to go to shelters around the area and often used tracks as her primary mode of transportation. Shortly after the alert was canceled, Salt Lake City Police announced that the girl was found safe in Tooele County. And word is a 16-year-old girl that was reported missing Monday from the Ogden area. Police in Ogden this morning confirmed to KUTV that the missing girl has been found, and additional information was not immediately provided on that. Utah Highway Patrol troopers said that bees could remain near a crash site for days after a tractor trailer that was transporting 200 hives rolled over. Lieutenant Randall Ritchie with the Utah Highway Patrol told KUTV the driver crashed taking a turn near Silver Creek Canyon towards Colville and Wyoming on eastbound I-80. The driver and a passenger were injured in the crash and stung repeatedly by bees. Both were taken to the hospital along with several first responders. Because of the number of bees involved, teams could not clear the crash scene for hours as thousands of them swarmed the site. Many flew away, but hundreds died as teams worked to contain the bees. Beekeepers in Wasatch County eventually got on site to help gather the bees, but Lieutenant Ritchie said swarms could linger for the next day or two. UHP officials said the crash is under investigation, but a tire blowout may have caused the crash. And a person with knowledge of the negotiation says Boston Celtics assistant Will Hardy has accepted an offer to become the new coach of the Utah Jazz. Hardy and the Jazz were in the process of finalizing contract language, according to the person who spoke to the Associated Press on condition of anonymity, because neither side announced the deal publicly. Hardy will become an NBA head coach for the first time. He will replace Quinn Snyder, who decided to leave the Jazz earlier this month after 8 seasons. Hardy spent 1 season in Boston helping the Celtics reach the NBA Finals. His previous 11 seasons were spent with the San Antonio Spurs. KVNU News Time is 4:38.
Make laundry a snap with the large load washers and dryers at Mount Logan Laundry. Rather than 8 to 10 loads at home, get the job done in 1 or 2 with their 55 or 80-pound washers and 80-pound dryers that are perfect for sleeping bags, comforters, and other big items. Mount Logan Laundry has free Wi-Fi and drop-off service, plus they're open until midnight. Mount Logan Laundry really is the cleanest spot in town. Find them at 5th East and 9th North in Logan or in Brigham City on the corner of 1st East and 7th South.
KVNU weather tonight, partly cloudy, slight chance of a rain shower this evening, then mostly cloudy after midnight, low around 60. Southwest winds still with us, 10 to 20 miles an hour early this evening. Partly cloudy and hot, around 90 on Wednesday, slight chance of a shower Thursday, partly cloudy, upper 80s for the high. It's been to 94. It's 91 right now at KVNU. Make your appointment at Logan Dental Associates with Dr. Brandon Priebe, Curtis Taylor, Anthony Larson, or Dr. Paul Harris. Or if it's more convenient, visit them at their Cherry Creek Dental Office in Richmond, a full-service dental office to take care of the entire family. For more details on these and other stories, visit CashValleyDaily.com. Let's check Wall Street now with Edward Jones.
This is financial advisor Clayton McMurdy from Edward Jones, bringing you the closing financial market report for Tuesday, June 28th. The early morning strength in U.S. equities reversed, and the S&P 500 closed lower amid a drop in consumer confidence and rising recession fears. Technology stocks and growth-style investments led the downside. On the other hand, European and Asian indexes were higher, supported by news that China softened its strict COVID-19 protocols as it cut the quarantine period to 10 days from the 3 weeks for inbound visitors. Also, both Beijing and Shanghai reported 0 new COVID-19 cases for the first time since February, while China's central bank continued to pledge to keep monetary policy supportive. Despite the weakness in U.S. stocks and likely contributing to it, oil prices were higher for the third straight day, helped by the better news flow from China and by Saudi Arabia and United Arab Emirates, signaling limited capacity to boost output. Released this morning, consumer confidence dropped in June, hitting a 16-month low as inflation weighed on sentiment. The more downbeat outlook signals a slowdown in consumer spending in the quarters ahead, which so far has stayed resilient. On the housing front, according to the S&P CoreLogic Case-Shiller Index, home prices nationwide rose 20.4% in April from a year ago, down from 20.6% in March. This is the first deceleration since November of last year, and a sign that home prices have started to cool as mortgage rates have doubled since the beginning of the year. In equities, the Dow was down 491 points at 30,948. The NASDAQ closed down 343 points at 11,182, and the S&P 500 down 78 points at 3,822. In bond markets, 10-year Treasury yields are trading at 3.2%, and in commodity markets, the price of crude oil was up $2.08 at $111.65, and the spot price of gold was down $4 at $1,820.40. This has been today's closing financial market report, brought to you by Edward Jones, member SIPC, serving individual investors with personalized attention and financial advice at 1309 North Main Street in Logan. If you'd like current stock prices or any additional information, please contact me at 435-753-0537 or visit any of our 7 branches here in Cache Valley or online at edwardjones.com.
We really do live in one of the world's most beautiful mountain areas, so why not rent a side-by-side at Beaver Creek Lodge and explore the miles of trails that are available? Franklin Basin, Egan Basin, Gibson Lake, St. Charles Canyon, and so much more. Take a sack lunch and spend the day enjoying the wildflowers and beautiful mountain scenery. Beaver Creek Lodge can accommodate 2 to 40. Side-by-side rentals are always new equipment and easy to operate as a car. Visit beavercreeklodge.com for information or call 753-1076 for reservations. You got to do it this summer.
The results are in for the 2022 Best of Northern Utah contest, presented by Campbell Snacks, home of Pepperidge Farm. Pick up your free copy of the Winners Magazine. Pickup locations are listed at bestofnorthernutah.com. Over 600,000 votes were cast to determine gold and silver winners in 185 business categories. Help congratulate these businesses and let's support all of our local businesses. And thank you for participating in the 2022 Best of Northern Utah contest.
Best of Northern Utah.
Welcome back to KVNU's For the People. You may have noticed this in your travels about town, but a pretty significant project underway at Logan Regional Hospital, and this is going to be going on a few years, in fact, until 2025. And it includes a 110 square foot, 4-story tower, which will be on the northeast corner of the campus. And then you'll see the existing towers come down. This will rearrange the front entrance. It will change a little bit of the traffic pattern to make a better flow. A lot of different things. This has been in the plans for years, but it's now officially underway. So how's it going? What exactly does it include? And what does it mean for Cache Valley, the basically reconstruction of the hospital? Well, KVNU's Craig Hislop was curious about that himself and reached out. Here's Craig.
Well, thank you, Jason. You may have noticed ongoing work at Logan Regional Hospital, a project that's going to bring a 110,000 square foot 4-story tower to the northeast corner of the campus, among other things. We have Emilio Rodriguez with us. He's the marketing and communications manager at the hospital. So it's started fairly recently, I guess, the construction part. And so certainly you would say at this early time it's probably on schedule.
Yeah, I think things have been great so far. We've had a lot of support from all the different organizations involved. And right now we're just kind of laying the foundation and the infrastructure for the new tower to go up.
I noticed there's a real emphasis, I think, on the behavioral unit being relocated. The hospital, I read, transfers 250 adults a year out of Cache Valley because this unit is always at capacity, but it will, I understand, will grow.
Yes, yeah, and that's one thing I think that we're most excited for, especially with, Cache Valley growing at such a quick rate and knowing the need of these type of services. We're excited that we'll be able to increase our occupancy by 40%. So that'll bring more beds for the behavioral health unit and help do more for the community.
I read the plan is to relocate numerous existing units into the new tower once it's completed. Who would be moving into that?
Yeah, and so where we're moving, it's pretty unique. And so the first floor, it'll be a 4-story tower. So the first floor is gonna house our cafe, our kitchen, our education center, some cardiology services, and imaging services. And then on the second floor, it'll be our intensive care unit, our behavioral health unit that we just talked about, and our transitional care unit. And then on the third floor will be our medical, surgical, and pediatric nursing units. And then on the fourth floor, we're looking to create some space for some business offices.
Construction on the new tower expected to take a couple of years, and then another, I guess, year-long process of moving those existing services, as you said, over. You got to demolish the 2 existing towers and the building's main entrance. I think the interesting thing for me, it's really going to be a much different entry for the hospital.
Yep, yeah, and I think that's another thing we're really excited for. I think the way our hospital's set up right now, it's difficult to see the front entrance, and so we've heard the community and our patients, and so we're making sure we address that issue with our new. When we knock down the towers, we're going to build this really beautiful, nice new main entrance that will be easier to access for our patients, and it'll bring a lot of. I think it'll bring really nice look to the hospital and help the patients ultimately.
Talking with Emilio Rodriguez, he's the marketing and communications manager at Logan Regional Hospital. About when would you think this thing is going to be done?
Yeah, with all of the hoops and all the construction that has to happen, I think we're anticipating in the first quarter of 2025 the project will be complete.
Is there any special instructions for those that will be coming to the hospital between now and then to just be able to maneuver around the construction and getting into certain places? How would you advise people to proceed?
Yeah, no, that's an excellent question, Craig, and thank you so much for bringing it up. Before I answer, I just want to thank everyone for their patience and their understanding while we undertake this large project. For those that come to our hospital, I think the easiest way, we have a lot of, like I said, infrastructure being built right now to solidify and to support that new tower. And so there's a lot of road construction on Hospital Road right now. So if you're a patient coming to the hospital, I recommend, turning off of North 400 and parking right near the main entrance, or another great alternative parking spot will be just sat in the south Budge Clinic entrance. Those two are kind of where we're trying to lead patients to provide the most and the best accessibility.
Okay. Well, we appreciate you taking some time with us, Emilio, and wish you all the best out there. It's going to be a long process, but I'm sure it's going to be worth it.
Yeah, no, we're excited, especially with the growth of Cache Valley, and we're excited to provide this awesome new tower that's going to support all these medical services for generations to come. So thank you for your time, Greg. I really appreciate you.
That's Emilio Rodriguez. And let's get back to Jason and Bill now.
Thank you, Craig. And pretty big project. And as Craig mentioned there, not going to be completed until about 2025. But after that, basically a new hospital. So that's nice. And it's going to be a little inconvenient between now and then. But if you notice that construction taking place all on campus, not really affecting the roads around there much. So it should be smooth sailing. But more on this at CacheValleyDaily.com, and we'll keep you updated as things progress, if there are delays or changes and things like that. And we'll be back with more of For the People right after this.
Hi, this is Drew Allen with Allen Mortuaries. Over the years, thousands of families have planned ahead with Allen Mortuaries. Planning ahead helps you make informed and thoughtful decisions. It also spares your family the stress of making these decisions under the pressure of time and strong emotions. Allen Mortuaries' secure pre-need trust plan can save you nearly 40% versus other plans. Keep it simple, safe, and secure. Go with the proven choice, Allen Mortuaries. Voted best funeral home in Cache Valley in northern Utah. Allen Mortuaries. Then, now, always.
Hi, I'm Allie Isom, and I approve this message. I'm asking for your vote for U.S. Senate Tuesday. You want a senator who's real and fights for the right things. Okay, here's real. COVID, inflation, gas prices, it's hitting our families hard. I'll make Utah's voice matter every day, not just when the mic is on. And hey, buy groceries on Thursdays, double gas points. As for fighting for the right things, done it my whole life.
Vote Allie Isom for U.S. Senate. Even without coupons, Allie is real and she fights for the right things. Paid by Allie for Utah.
Hey Utah, ready for your summer adventure? A new GMC will get you wherever the road goes and beyond. Save now on every new rugged Murdoch GMC in stock during the Drive Into Summer Sales event. At Murdoch GMC Chevrolet Buick Cadillac of Logan, we've got the lineup to get you anywhere with confidence. Drive home a new 2022 Sierra 1500, Acadia, or Terrain with 0% for 3 years. When you walk through our doors, you feel like family. At Murdoch Chevrolet Buick GMC Cadillac in Logan or online at MurdochChevroletLogan.com. We are professional grade.
Call 866-628-3065 or see dealer for complete details. Offer expires 7/5/22.
My name is Dr. Brandon Prevey, and I love being a dentist. I work with Drs. Curtis Taylor, Anthony Larson, and Paul Harris. When people ask where our office is, I actually have two answers. First, I spend part of the week at Logan Dental Associates, and then second, I spend the other part at Cherry Creek Dental in Richmond. Both locations are a full-service dental office and can take care of everyone in the family. Call or go online and make your appointment with the offices most convenient for you. Logan Dental Associates in Logan or Cherry Creek Dental in Richmond.
My name is Andrew Badger, and I am running for Utah's 1st Congressional District because I believe it's time Republicans stop playing defense and go on the offense. Utah needs representatives who are going to fight for America first, not cave to the D.C. establishment like Mitt Romney and Blake Moore. In office, I will fight to secure our elections, end COVID mandates, and ensure parents, not the government, are responsible for their children's education. My name is Andrew Badger, and I approve this message.
Paid for by Andrew Badger for Congress.
Welcome back to KVN News For the People. It is official. We will be speaking with Brooke Heyer of the Lewiston City Council coming up at 5:10 about Lewiston Independence Day celebration. This is a weekend-long event.
And you're going to ask about that, the cowboy boot race.
I am asking about this because, you get to know these events, doing the show and talking about them each year over the years, and they always try and throw something new in. But this stood out to me. So it'll be fun. We'll get to spotlight how much they have planned. They start this Saturday, and it goes until Monday, and there's all kinds of things from horse pulls to parades to fireworks, competitions, booths. It's got kind of a county fair feel to it on the square there in Lewiston, and it's just it's a big draw. I know people that head all the way up there from Cache Valley, even some folks in Weber County, just because it's a pretty big deal and a big rodeo too. But I noticed this year that for the traditional cowboy run, which is a part of the celebration each year. There's an additional line in the description there in parentheses. It says, to compete, you must be wearing cowboy boots. And I want to know two things. Did someone try to cheat? And if so, what happened to that person? And second thing is...
Or just like
is anything else required?
Yeah.
Because no one wants to see that.
Right. Yeah. Well, maybe somebody, one time wore a nice pair of running shoes and a cowboy hat and thought that would suffice.
Yeah.
That's a possibility.
That's cheating probably, right? But yeah, we'll find out, and we'll talk about all the events that are planned if you're looking for something to do this weekend up in Lewiston, not that far from here. So Brooke Heyer of the Lewiston City Council joining us. She's heading up the group that planned this year's Independence Day celebration there and all these 3 days of events. So that's coming up at 5:10. Yesterday on the show, I said that Salt Lake County, so everyone looks to Salt Lake County whenever an election's afoot for turnout because, one, they're the one county that will actually start processing and scanning and then, reveal some of this information to the media ahead of or on Election Day when it comes to turnout. So Salt Lake County will traditionally tell the Salt Lake Tribune or Deseret News, we've seen a lot more ballots come back this year. We even have an idea of the percentage of registered voters that have sent them back in already. Now, obviously, no ballots can be scanned, but no tabulation of election results can legally happen until this evening at 8 p.m. That's law. That's state law. But they can, they do have an idea of how many ballots have been coming in. And so yesterday on the show, I said that last week, Deseret News had reported Salt Lake County saying turnout hadn't really been that impressive. And usually the way this goes is Salt Lake is sort of the canary. They have higher turnout traditionally than any other area in the state each election cycle. I don't know why. And then, so if you see 30% in Salt Lake County, you'll see 25% here in Cache Valley. So I was a little disheartened by that, but that changed. Salt Lake County election workers are saying today that they are, quote, pleasantly surprised by voter turnout in these primary elections. So Salt Lake Tribune reporter Anastasia Huffman took a tour alongside other members of the media and elected officials this week of the voting centers. That happened yesterday. And then Tuesday morning had a chance to talk with voters as they were coming in and election workers. And election workers said that that the turnout that they'd seen so far had actually surpassed Election Day turnout in previous cycles, which implies that all of the ballots mailed in are going in the end going to be more than even 2 years ago. So that's encouraging news, I think. That's also something that hopefully we see hold up around all this. It's kind of cool. It's a great story because the story of the Tribune also goes into what it means to be an election worker on Election Day, what it requires, what you have to do. It's pretty busy. I've never done this myself. I know people who have. There's a lot of training, and this is a volunteer spot in most cases, sometimes paid, but usually volunteer. And it requires months of training and then also not every day, obviously, as a volunteer, but quite a bit over a month of time. And then Election Day is really the big day, especially where we do everything by mail now. Election Day is really the only day. We used to have, we still have early polling locations. We still call them that. But early polling locations now are just a drop box inside the county building or a city office building outside. I guess you can always, during early polling time, walk in and hand it to a clerk employee in person if you want to. That's all kind of changed now with the popularity and success of mail-in voting over the last, going on 12 years now here in Utah as sort of a leader on that. But you still have Election Day and still have a lot of folks who want to show up in person. They're more comfortable with that. I know people, Democrats here in the Valley, that do that because to them it's tradition. That's part of the fun, is actually going to the polling location on your way out, talking with other people. So there's a lot of reasons people do this, and it sounds like, at least in Salt Lake County today, a lot of people have been turning up, which again implies that voter turnout might, in the end, look better than some of the initial reports last week implied. If this many people are showing up on Election Day, you have to assume 3 times that mailed their ballots in. And we do have a lot of primaries attracting a lot of attention. So fingers crossed that a lot of people decide to weigh in. You have until 8 p.m. to drop your ballot off in person at the clerk's office or a drop box. So